I Am, that is a collection of dialogues between Sri Nisargadatta, an Indian spiritual teacher, and various seekers who visited him. The book, originally written in Marathi and translated into English by Maurice Friedman, presents the core of Nisargadatta's teachings on Advaita Vedanta, a non-dualistic school of Hindu philosophy. Through these discussions, Nisargadatta offers a profound exploration of self-realization, the nature of reality, the ego, and the ultimate truth of existence. The book's title, I Am That, reflects the essence of Nisargadatta's teachings. The understanding that the true self, the I, is identical to the universal consciousness or the absolute, which is referred to as that. The main objective of the dialogues is to guide the reader toward this realization, that the true essence of one's being is beyond the mind, the body, and the individual personality, and is instead one with the infinite, timeless consciousness, self-realization, and the true I Am. The central theme of I Am That is the exploration of self-realization, which Nisargadatta describes as the direct understanding of one's true nature beyond the mind and ego. According to his teachings, most people live in ignorance of their real identity because they identify with their body, mind, and the external world. This ignorance, or avidya, is the root cause of all suffering, as it binds individuals to the illusion of separateness. Nisargadatta emphasizes that the true self is pure awareness, which he calls the I Am. This sense of I Am is the foundational experience of being, present before any identification with personal traits, thoughts, or experiences. The I Am is beyond the limited, individual ego, and it exists independent of the body and mind. However, most people fail to realize this, because they are trapped in the identification with their personality and physical form. The teachings suggest that by meditating on the sense of I Am, and withdrawing attention from external distractions and mental activity, one can gradually transcend the ego and come to realize their oneness with the universal consciousness, the absolute. This is self-realization, the realization that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am pure awareness, the illusion of the ego. In I Am That, Nisargadatta speaks extensively about the ego, which he sees as the source of all human suffering and delusion. The ego is the false sense of self that arises when individuals identify with their body, mind, and personal story. This identification creates the illusion of separateness from others and from the world, leading to desires, fears, attachments, and suffering. Nisargadatta explains that the ego is a construct of the mind, a collection of thoughts and memories that create a false identity. The ego is impermanent, constantly changing with new experiences and external influences, yet people cling to it as if it were their true self. He asserts that the key to liberation is to see through the illusion of the ego and realize that one's true nature is beyond the mind and personal identity. One of the book's fundamental teachings is the distinction between the person and the witness. The person, or ego, is the limited, individual self that is subject to birth, death, pleasure, and pain. The witness, on the other hand, is the pure awareness that observes the person and all experiences. Nisargadatta encourages seekers to shift their identification from the person to the witness, as the witness is the true self, free from all limitations and suffering. The nature of reality and the world. Another key aspect of Nisargadatta's teachings is the understanding of reality and the nature of the world. According to Advaita Vedanta, the world as we perceive it is Maya, or illusion. This does not mean that the world is non-existent, but rather that our perception of it is distorted by the ego and mind. The world appears to be separate, fragmented, and full of dualities, such as good and bad, pleasure and pain, because of the ego's tendency to divide reality into opposites. Nisargadatta explains that the ultimate reality is not. In truth, there is no separation between the individual and the universe, between subject and object, or between I and that. Everything is an expression of the same universal consciousness, the absolute, which is beyond all dualities and distinctions. The world, as experienced through the ego and senses, is a projection of the mind, and it is only when one transcends the mind that the true nature of reality is revealed. For Nisargadatta, the realization of the non-dual nature of reality is the essence of enlightenment. When one awakens to the understanding that I am that, they realize that they are not a separate entity, but one with the entire universe. This realization dissolves the ego and all sense of separateness, leading to a state of profound peace, joy, and freedom. The role of the guru and sadhana, spiritual practice. In many of the dialogues, Nisargadatta emphasizes the importance of sadhana, or spiritual practice, in achieving self-realization. While he acknowledges that the ultimate truth is always present and available, he also recognizes that most individuals are so deeply entrenched in the ego and mind that they need guidance and discipline to awaken to this truth. Nisargadatta often advises seekers to focus on the sense of I am as their primary spiritual practice. By meditating on this pure sense of being and letting go of all other thoughts and identifications, one can gradually transcend the mind and ego. He also speaks of the importance of self-inquiry, a practice popularized by Ramana Maharshi, in which one continually asks, "Who am I?" to uncover the false layers of the ego and arrive at the true self. The role of the guru is also a significant theme in I Am That. Nisargadatta himself had a guru, Siddhameshwar Maharaj, who gave him the teaching that led to his own self. He stresses that a true guru is not a person, but the manifestation of the universal consciousness that guides the seeker toward self-realization. The guru's role is to point out the path, but the seeker must walk it themselves through sincere effort and dedication. Beyond birth and death, Nisargadatta's teachings also addressed the concept of birth and death, which he sees as part of the illusion created by the ego. The body and mind are subject to birth and death, but the true self, the awareness that witnesses the body and mind, is eternal and beyond all change. This self, or consciousness, was never born and will never die. It exists outside the confines of time and space. For Nisargadatta, liberation involves recognizing that one is not the body or mind, but the eternal consciousness that is beyond all birth and death. This realization frees individuals from the fear of death and the attachment to the physical world, allowing them to live in a state of inner peace and freedom.